Yo, today I'm going to be voicing Grid Series Round 3 at TeamSport Leicester. This is all footage on my GoPro, so it's all mine. Here's the format tonight, and this is just the start of qualifying, just as we're starting to go out. One thing to note, that the track was very grippy tonight, so laps were decently fast, and this car in particular in qualifying was very grippy, so I mean, of course I was going to be a big fan of that. This Thursday night members event, and it's the last one in preparation for BIKC, in which I'll be competing in juniors. It's my first time doing BIKC. I've been racing at TeamSport for about 6 months now, so trying to gain as much track experience before the main event as such. So I will skip onto the quali lap now, and then we'll get into the heats. Alright, so now on to heat number 1. I get poor drive off the line. I mean, my car just didn't really move, so then couldn't take the inside up to P4. And coming into this, I was very confident because I had a junior race about 3 days prior. So I wasn't nervous or hesitant in my overtaking ability, but this heat in particular, I didn't get any overtaking done actually, because the guy in front was very defensive, and at some points I was trying to find my way past, but not really too much luck with that. So these are 8-minute heats, so you kind of just have to go for it. If you hesitate or don't look for the move, it's not going to end very well. As you see there, I just give him a bit of a tap. Luckily it didn't unravel either of our races too soonly, but I don't think he was very happy with that either way.
A few minutes later.
There, he's shaking his head again, not really sure where that is. Okay, and now I'm screaming. Great, I'm screaming. I think this was to psych me up a little bit. Okay, I don't think it sounded like this on the night. I don't think it did sound exactly like this. I think it sounded a bit better. As now I'm beginning to get a little bit impatient, but I don't want to force an error either, because otherwise you get penalised for it, and no one wants a penalty, do they? So coming up the ramp again, you can see I really do have weight advantage, and he's getting very defensive, and that's just how this race played out. He was very defensive the whole time, and there wasn't much I could do about it. So we are getting a little bit closer to the guy in third. I try something here, but unsuccessful. I let him back through because it's his line to take, and I kind of forced him around the outside. It wasn't a fair move. You want to get past cleanly and fairly, but again, he's shaking his head. He was not very happy with my driving, apparently, and again he was very slow out that corner as a result of him going defensive, and there's not much I can do. So I get another warning there on the board, so now I'm on 2 warnings, and the next warning will be a penalty. So now I'm really walking on eggshells, and I have to just make sure that I don't make any more mistakes or go into the back of him, otherwise that could have serious implications for my heat points at the end of the 3 heats. And I'm pretty sure this is what the BIKC format's going to be as well. So getting the best practice and the best experience in this format is good, because I'll know what to expect. You see he's going very defensive, but also pulling back out onto the racing line, which I'm pretty sure you are not allowed to do. I think it's, if you go defensive, you're only allowed one defensive move per corner and you can't pull back out. But obviously this is just a members event, it's not a race academy, so you wouldn't expect members to know that, and I don't think you'll get penalised for it anyway. So there you saw on the board last lap, and I didn't feel too much desperation as some people would. I think his driving style was very clear, and all I wanted to do was make sure that I stayed in P5 and didn't get a penalty. So sitting behind, if I have to sit behind for this heat, that's what I'll do. So as we come around the final bit at the top, I think I did just give him a little tap there, but didn't affect his momentum at all. If anything, it just affected mine. And there's the checkered flag. So that's the end of heat 1, P5 to P5, on to heat 2. Looking to improve on my heat 1 result of P5. Jumped like very, very slightly, and I hesitated a little bit because I didn't know if I was going to get penalised. But anyway, race on. Now I'm up to P4. There, I've cleared the driver that caused I was stuck behind last race. So that done already. That's boosted my confidence massively. And now it's just about getting the head down. Oh, and we have a yellow flag. Blinking there, and there we're green again. So that time a little bit better, but yeah, so I don't know what those 2 yellow flags are for, but either way, head back down. As long as I didn't get jumped off the start, that was the most important thing. So like I said, just keeping the laps consistent and gauging the driving style and skill of the people in front of you. I knew I was quicker than this guy, fairly equal up the ramp, but I couldn't find my way past. At this point in the race anyway, I felt that I was quicker than him. Whether that was a kart advantage or driving advantage, and I looked to the inside a couple of times, but he really kept his foot in the door well, and he did that a couple of times. You see, he's not giving it up easily. But we're also racing with respect here, so that's what I liked about this little battle. Even though it impeded me from getting up to P3, I did like that he was showing respect and he was also putting up a good fight. So this is probably one of my more boring heats out of the 3, but because I got jumped up to P4 on the start, obviously that's good for my heat points, because we are directly competing with the people around us and the people in Group 1 as well, because we all get bunched into an A final and a B final. So even if you come in 6th in your heat, doesn't mean you're going to be 6th in the final, because there's another person in the other group who's getting 6th in the heats as well. So for the sake of it, I'll just skip to the end, which I think is in a couple laps time, and then move on to heat number 3. Okay, and here we go for heat number 3, the 3rd and final heat of the evening, before we get into the finals. So, as we go to 5 red lights for the last time in the heats. Get a good getaway compared to P4, and I'm up already before the corner. That's a good thing. Go wide on the exit just to cover it off. And here, I have a tiny look down the inside of P3, but I'm not quite able to. And as he has the inside here, keeping his foot in, I get pushed a little bit wide. As you can see, P5 is on my side. And then coming around here, I get absolutely T-boned from the side by P5. not really sure what he was doing at all. But then you see P6 actually comes up the inside now, up to P5. And you can replay that if you want, and you will see that I got absolutely taken out. I mean, I'm really not sure what was going through his head there, because that was not fair racing, and he got a warning for that, as you just saw pop up on the digiboard. But either way, I'm up to P4. I kept my position, but yeah, I was just quite baffled actually by what he was doing. I'm not too sure what was going through his head, and I'll be quiet for a second just so you can hear the engine. It sounds like something's ticking. Anyway, coming off of that incident on the first lap with P5, I've now dropped off the back of the pack, but I'm also building a gap to the guys behind, as you can see. Just a little bit of a gap, so it just means I've got some breathing room. My main goal was to catch up to P3, as I knew the two guys in front, they were clear. They had some serious pace in these heats. So I wasn't too focused on P2. I was more focused on, okay, I've got a P5 and a P4 finish in the heats now. Can I make it a P3? Just really trying to keep my lines tidy, which I think I did a good job of tonight. As you can see now, as I just completely jinx myself and mess up my line. And surprisingly, maybe as a viewer, it might feel a bit repetitive, just going around the same 40 odd second track over and over again. But I promise you, karting or any form of motorsport is not like that. It really does feel completely different when you're in the car. You take it corner by corner, and you have to think about everything: your braking point, your turning point, point at which you get on the acceleration, you know, your entry and exit to the corner, and you just take it corner by corner, and that's how you have to do it. And I want to make it known that I was the only junior driver that I'm aware of in this heat, or maybe there was one other, but I didn't really have any close fights with them. I know that there was a couple of junior drivers in the other group who I'll be racing with in the final. So here are my heats finishes, and that means that I'm starting P8 in the A final. Here we go then for the A final grid series round 3 at TeamSport Leicester, starting P8 on the grid, and let's see what happens. So lights out and away we go. Fair start. P9 is on my inside, so I have to concede the position. He's very good at covering it off. Even here, I'm too far to the outside. But then I decide to follow him on the inside to see where it goes. But then he actually gets switched to the outside, which allows me back up through that gap. And now I'm back up to P8. So that was a very nice move, and I'm really not sure what happened there. Can replay that, but the guy in front just parked himself on the apex, and I mean, there was really nowhere I could go, but luckily I didn't get penalised for it, and rightfully so. I don't think there was much I could do there. So come across the line for lap number 1. This is a 15-minute finals, and currently sitting in P8, but obviously juggled position with P9, a very fast junior driver, it must be said, who was behind. Yeah, Olivier, the guy who you saw at the start in the Lewis Hamilton helmet, I've raced him many times before in Race Academy Sundays and Race Academy League and the other grid series rounds. So now we know each other fairly well in terms of driving style, and we have a lot of respect for each other on and off the track. And I think it's important you have respect for everyone, especially on the track, because at a small place like this, you don't want to be making enemies or driving unfairly, because it's very easy for the marshals to spot as well. Anyway, up to P7 now. and I actually overtook the guy who was consistently P3 in my heats. So that's good to know that I've got pace on him in the finals, and I've actually been able to get past him. So now I'm looking to the group ahead. You can see the front two have broken away, but then this is the battle for kind of third and fourth. And just there, the guy in the white helmet just getting pushed slightly wide, and then I see the gap, and I don't hesitate at all. Momentum is so key in this race, and if you have bad heats, okay, that's one thing, but it's your job then to really push in the finals, and that's what I've done so far. So now I'm up to P5, I'm pretty sure. So the two guys in front are both former lap record holders. So the guy in the green helmet, George, is another junior, very quick, obviously, being a former lap record holder. So I was just trying to stick with these two, and I noticed they weren't really fighting. I didn't want to unravel my race by making a mistake, or unravel their races, but obviously I've got to just catch up first. So you can see I'm just kind of on the same pace as these guys, but because they aren't fighting, it's actually quite hard to catch up now. So I think throughout the rest of this race, all of us were kind of lapping on equal times, fair to say. But I know these guys are very quick, and if I'm keeping up with them, that's an achievement in itself. Yeah, really work on that consistency. One thing that I do notice that George does is, when you're following a car especially, you don't want to lock up fully into these hairpins. You want it to be more of a subtle braking as you would into a hairpin normally. So I realised he was gaining time and keeping momentum from that. So I think towards the end of the race I start to try and replicate that, and it actually helps me keep up with them on the exits of the hairpins a lot better. And you can see on the timer we have 7.5 minutes to go, so halfway through the race, plenty of time. And I think this is the difference between the 8-minute heats and the 15-minute final, which used to be 20 minutes, I'm sure. It just means you can be more patient, but at the same time, if you're going for the win or a very top spot, the top two have already left. As you see, they're going down the ramp. My main goal was just to keep up with these guys. I knew I was in good position. I knew I'd make the overtakes early on when it mattered, and to get through the chaos. And now it was just about seeing, how does my consistency compare to these guys? Can I keep up with them? If I'm on a good lap, how good is my good lap compared to theirs? As I know these guys are very quick. And there, now you can see I'm not snapping the cart so much. I'm letting it gradually turn, just to try and keep some of that momentum and keep up with these guys on the corner exits, which I think was working quite nicely in my favour. And I think it's good to learn off of the quicker driver to see how they change their techniques depending on the situation. And definitely in a competitive race like this, you have to adapt, otherwise you simply get left behind. As I said earlier, it may just look like we're driving the same track, which we are, but it's much more than that inside the mind of a racer when you're actually lapping. At this point you're completely going on adrenaline, and genuinely this was probably one of my best nights of racing that I've done so far. I think I've done 2 or 3 members events prior to Grid Series, and that was a GP2, which I finished 5th out of 14, I want to say, or 15, and then a GP1, which I came first in out of 13 or something like that. And then obviously round 1 of Grid Series and round 2 of Grid Series. Round 1 I think I came 5th in lightweights, and in round 2 I came 2nd in lightweights, so that was a really good night, which unfortunately did not record on my GoPro because my battery died. My pace was amazing. I had an amazing comeback drive from 9th up to 4th and ended up finishing 2nd in class. So as you can see now, last lap board is out, and for me it was just about keeping the position now. I wasn't close enough off. That first hairpin can determine everything, and it really did, because round here I wasn't close enough. And there was only going to really be one overtaking opportunity left, and again I just made a little bit of a mistake there, which meant I was way far back, and George doesn't really even have a look at it either. I think he knows it's a good position to stay in. I'm not sure if he was aware I was directly behind. And there you go, checker flag, P5 in the A final. And now the results have been published, I can confirm that I finished P3 in the lightweight standings overall after the 3 rounds. I think it's good to know that only 6 months of being here, I'm competing right at the top, and my consistency is very good. So I'm hoping to carry this with me into BIKC 2023, which will be my first experience. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and hopefully I'll see you soon.